Hello friends, this video on reproduction in organisms part 7 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So this was all about natural vegetative propagation. Now let us talk about artificial vegetative propagation. As I said that farmers and gardeners have started exploiting these properties of root, stem and leaves, and that is why they have come up with several techniques to artificially propagate plants. So some of these techniques are cutting, layering and grafting. So let us first discuss about cutting. So what happens here is a plant part is cut from the parent and then put into the soil, which later gives rise to a new plant. So this is a very common technique which is not only done by the gardeners and farmers, but even we do it in our small gardens, right? Let us suppose you have one plant, you want another plant of similar kind. So what you do, you just cut a part of the plant and then plant it into the soil in a separate place. So another plant is formed. So one such example is rose. So as I was mentioning before also that in rose, stem cutting is a very common way to develop more and more plants. Let us suppose you have just one rose plant in your house. Now you want 3-4 more plants because you want more roses. So what do? You just cut a stem of the old plant and plant it in a different pot. So another plant will arise, and that is how. And in a similar way, you can plant multiple plants. So that is how you can propagate the plant. Root cutting example is dahlia, because in dahlia their roots are capable of giving rise to a new plant. I was talking about the vegetative propagation by roots, right? So you have to have the knowledge of natural vegetative propagation so that you know which part of which plant is capable of giving rise to a new plant, so that you can cut that particular part. For example, in dahlia, if you cut the stem of dahlia, unfortunately you will not be able to get a new plant with that, because stems are not capable of giving rise to a new plant, whereas roots are. So for dahlia, you have to cut the root and then plant it. So this is how the roots of dahlia would look like, the swollen roots. The next technique is layering. So what happens in layering? So here new plants are formed from stems of parent plant without detaching them initially from the parent. So here, so now how do we do this layering is that a particular new plants are formed from the stems of the plant, but we do not detach it from the parent plant initially. So we keep it attached to the parent plant. Now there are many ways of doing it. Broadly, we can classify them into two ways. One is the mound layering and the other one is the air layering. So let us look at both of these in detail. So a variety of plants can be grown by this layering method. For example, strawberry, guava, lemon, China rose, etc. So let us look at the first method, that is the mound layering. So how do we do it? So in mound layering, we pull a branch towards the ground. So if you see here, a branch of the plant, this was the main plant, right? So a branch of the main plant is pulled towards the ground, and then a part of it is covered with moist soil. So if you see, this is the soil, this portion, right? So some portion of it from here till here, this much portion is being covered with moist soil. Then what happens? After few days, it is seen that new roots tend to develop from this part, whichever was under the ground. So whenever roots start developing, so after new roots are developed, then this can be detached from the main plant. So you can cut it from here, you can detach it from the main plant, and then this can give rise to a new plant altogether. So that is known as mound layering, where you take one branch, put it inside the soil. So initially you did not detach it from the parent plant, but later once roots started developing from this portion, then you detach it from the parent plant, and that is how you get a new plant. What is air layering? In air layering, an aerial branch is scraped and covered with moist mud, something like this. Let us suppose this is an aerial branch. Now instead of pulling it to the ground, a portion of it is covered with moist mud. So if you see, it is moist mud and then it is covered with a plastic. Now it is observed that after some time, So after some time, it is observed that it is observed that new roots developed from this part, which was covered with plastic and which was which had moist mud inside. So what happens, as soon as new roots tend to develop, then this part is later detached from the parent plant. So somewhat from here. So this was covered, so roots will develop somewhere from here, and then this can be detached from the main plant. So this is called air layering. So a variety of plant is grown by this method as well. So you see, this is separated from here and then grown separately. Then the third technique, that is grafting. What happens here? The stems cut from two different plants are attached to grow as a single plant. Now sometimes it so happens that we want to combine the traits of two plants. Let us suppose you have one rose plant in your house which gives you red roses. You have another plant which gives you yellow roses. Now you want to have a plant which gives both red and yellow roses. So what do you do in that case? You take one stem from each plant and then make those two stems grow as a single plant. So how do we do that? Let us suppose these are the two parts of the stem. This is from one plant. This part is from another plant. So what do? You just keep them together and then you bind them with something. You tie them with something. So this improves the quality of certain plants. So in this case, the two parts which are taken from the two plants, what are they called? They are known as scion from one plant and stalk from other plants. So one part is called scion and the other part is called stalk. So the stalk provides water and minerals to the plant. So it is the function of this part is to provide water and minerals to the plant. For example, lemon and orange can be obtained from one plant, two different scions on the same stalk. So the stalk remains the same. If you take a lemon plant and an orange plant, you will see that the stalk is same for both the plants, but the scion is different. So this is different. Due to the difference in the scion, one gives lemon whereas the other gives orange. So you see there is a lot of similarity between lemon and orange as such. So scion and stalk should exactly fit each other, leaving no gap. So there should be no gap absolutely when you are actually fitting them together. So that is why a slant cut is preferred, so that they exactly fit in. Because if you cut it straight, sometimes it becomes difficult to ensure that there are no gaps. So you cut it slant so that they exactly fit in with each other. So it actually improves the quality of certain plants, because let us suppose some plants, they are otherwise good, but then the kind of flowers which they produce, that is not that great. So you combine it with some other plants where the flowers quality is really great. So when you combine the two, you end up getting something which is better. So that is how it can ensure that the quality of the plant is improved. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.